Your New Year's resolutions will ruin 2023 for you, and I'm dead serious. Your New Year's resolutions, as they're currently written, will destroy your new year and turn you into a failure. By the end of this video, you'll be ripping up your New Year's resolutions and throwing them in the trash. And I promise, your 2023 will be so much better for it. New year, new me. This phrase comes around every year. It's cute, it's marketable, and it's full of bullshit. My biggest criticism of New Year's resolutions is that people pretend that they get a clean slate on January 1st, which isn't the reality. In fact, you are the same person on January 1st as you are the week before that. And I'll tell you why this idea is so important in this video. Your New Year's resolutions hinge on one thing, and that one thing is discipline, which is something most people don't have. See, you can create a long list of habits that you want to build in the new year, but if you lack discipline, none of those things will happen. People pretend that as soon as the clock strikes midnight on New Year's, that they become the most disciplined person on earth. Trust me, I've felt this way before, and it's failed me. I've been on self-improvement for about 2 years now, and when I started, I thought I could write a long list of habits that the most successful version of myself would have, and complete them, and become that version of myself. But unfortunately, this wasn't the reality. You see, a teenager that's used to playing video games for 6 hours a day and just barely getting by at school isn't simply going to be able to wake up at 6 a.m., work out, start a business, work out again, and get a girlfriend, all because he made a list of things that he wanted to accomplish. None of these habits that you want to build can be built without discipline. And I'm afraid most people lack the discipline necessary to build those habits. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm some ultra-disciplined monk, because I'm not. But I am more disciplined than most people my age. And that has nothing to do with some secret that I do that no one else does. It all has to do with my hour-to-hour choices. The choices that I choose to make in the moment, not the list of goals that I set for myself on a piece of paper at the start of the year. See, when most people would be reaching for their phone to scroll on social media when they're bored, I will choose, in that moment, to do something more productive. I can tell myself 1,000 times at the start of the year not to mindlessly scroll on my phone, but that does nothing unless I actually execute that plan. This sounds so obvious and simple, I know, but I want you to remember one question. I want you to ask yourself this one question on an hour-to-hour basis. This question is, am I using my time right now to become better? Notice how I say to ask this on an hour-to-hour basis and not day-to-day. That's because you need to consistently get the idea in your head that you, and you alone, are capable of making smart decisions and taking control of your life every hour. If you only remind yourself of this once a day, you'll be wasting hours of your time. Here's a stat I'd like to share with you. 80% of people who start their New Year's resolutions end up failing. Now, I'm sure you've heard this number before, but it's worth diving into the why behind it. Why do 80% of people who start New Year's resolutions not follow through with them? Is it because they set too high of expectations or they have too many goals? Could be, but the reason that I find is so much simpler. It's because 80% of people are below average. Now, this sounds mathematically impossible, I know, but it's true. You see, just 50 years ago, the average man was a hard worker, and in his off time, he spent time learning, becoming better, learning a new skill, reading, or spending time with his family. The average man 50 years ago spent his free time becoming better. Now, what does the average man today do when he has free time? He scrolls on his phone, mindlessly consuming content that does nothing for him. It's useless. See, the point I'm trying to make is that you are behind the average man just 50 years ago. This is how 80% of people fall below average. All right, so how can we fix this? How can we become better than 80% of men and actually build habits that lead us to success? With one thing: discipline. Discipline is the only habit you actually need to develop. Forget working out for an hour a day, forget reading for 30 minutes a day. The only true habit that actually exists is discipline. You see, a disciplined man can create any habit for himself and stick to it. Not because he's particularly good at that habit, but because he's developed the character that he needs to stick to something. This is something that most people don't have. 30 minutes of yoga and meditation a day doesn't build a great man. Discipline builds a great man. And there's a reason it's one of the hardest habits to build. But it's worth pursuing. I don't care how you choose to build your discipline. Everyone builds discipline in a different way. Some choose to work out, some do it by writing, others by reading. All that matters is that you actually pursue discipline and try and build it and integrate it as part of your life. The last thing that you should be doing right now at the start of the year is writing down a list of habits that you know you can't complete. Why would you write down a list of things that you don't have the discipline to actually follow through with? The only thing that happens when you do that is you reinforce the idea in your mind that you're a failure. You see, you write down a list of things that you can't follow through with, and then when you fail, you not only feel like a failure, you become a failure. And I'm not being harsh when I say this either. The more you engage in activities that you know you will fail in, and the more you fail, you reinforce in your mind this idea that you are a failure. And this in turn leads to lower self-esteem, less confidence, and in the end, you become less capable and less competent than you were before you started. Now, this doesn't mean not to take risks and not to make mistakes, as we do learn best from our mistakes. But rather, why would you create a list of goals that you know you don't have the discipline to fulfill? If you don't have the foundation for them, pursue the foundation. Don't try to put a roof on a house that doesn't even have the flooring in. Build the floor first. I promise you'll thank me later. Now, like I said before, it doesn't matter how you choose to build discipline. Everyone does it differently. For me, it was with cold showers. A few years ago, I had really severe health issues, and I had done some research that cold showers and ice baths could improve my condition, which they did, thankfully. So I began to take cold showers, I began to get in the ice, and it was hard. It was very difficult, but it built discipline within me. I wanted to work out as well, but I couldn't do that also. It wasn't until I actually built the discipline of getting in the cold every day for 5 minutes that I was able to say, okay, I can work out for 45 minutes. I can work out for an hour. See, these habits are built on discipline. You can't throw a list of habits at yourself when you don't have the foundation. It doesn't matter what you choose to do to build that discipline. Just find something that's outside of your comfort zone. Do it frequently. Do it every day. And you'll find that you become more capable and more competent to build other habits later. Just to give a quick example, this week I came in from working outside for a few hours in the below freezing temperature, and I wanted to take a warm shower, which I started. I began to take a warm shower, and then the thought popped into my head while I was taking it. I said to myself, would a disciplined man be taking a warm shower right now? Now, that's silly, I know. It makes no sense. It actually makes more sense for me to warm myself up from being out in the cold. But nonetheless, I turned the faucet back on cold and took the cold shower. Now, this was silly. It doesn't actually mean anything in the grand scheme of things. It's just a simple habit that I practice to build discipline in my life. Once again, what works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. Cold showers built my discipline. For you, it might be learning an instrument or writing every day or committing to reading a certain amount every day. All that matters is that you build that foundation, and then the sky's the limit from there. I know I've said it so many times in this video, but discipline is the key. It's the only habit you need. Work hard to develop discipline in whatever way you see fit, whatever way works for you, and from there, I promise you'll be able to rise above the 80%. Alright y'all, thanks for watching the video. Real quick, before you go, I'd like to ask that you like, subscribe, share. I've got some big goals for the channel, so I'd love for you to be a part of it in 2023. I'm going to start streaming, and I'm going to go into philosophy, self-improvement, fitness, that sort of thing. Anything that'll help you to achieve a more noble lifestyle. That's the goal of the channel. Alright, I'd love to see you for the ride in the next year. Bye.